Hello, a long way. It's Autumn, your community liaison office coordinator, and I'm here today with Chester Ferris with the Global Employment Office, and he's here to give us a little workshop about employment opportunities for EFMs. So, without further ado, Chester, take it away.
So, what we ultimately want to do is we want to get you to that interview, and the resume is the only place that can get you to that interview process. So, it's important that your resume stands out, and let's give you some tips on what you can do to make it stand out. Right. So, some often asked topics, we look at what was relevant then and what we look at what is relevant now when it comes to resumes. Okay. So we look at then there was only paper only, and if you look at 2020 today, we're looking at where you can send yours electronically. There's PDF versus other formats, and you also need to know what to use, specific about what you use and what is required from the application that you're sending in. Back then, we used to look at responsibilities. In 2020, we want to quantify your accomplishments. Back then, you used to look at key skills and activities. You want to look at your keywords now and your SEO, which is your search engine optimization. Back then, it was only about one page. And in 2020, you can adjust the length. But just you've got to look at what is the requirement that's been asked of you. Back then, you looked at only one version, which was used for all applications. And it was like playing the lotto. So you just take one resume and you say, well, let's put it in there. 2020, we become very strategic on how you're going to do that, and you got to customize for every position. So we call it a target resume, and you've got to have about 3 or 4 resumes at your fingertips. Back then, you only looked at putting on your paid work. In 2020, you want to include your volunteer work as well, as well as the paid work that you've also done. So let's just look at what are some things that you can look at in the meantime. You want to look at your address, all right? And you see we've got an example there on address. So I'm in the realm of not giving your physical address just for security purposes. Again, it's entirely up to you. If you want to put your physical address there, I just put the suburb that you're in. You want to include a current or a forwarding address. Again, I mentioned there if privacy is a concern for you, just be mindful of if you want to put that on. You want to put a Gmail address or a Yahoo, whatever type of address you want to have there. Just ensure that it's a professional email address. It's not Mickey Mouse 123 or Winnie the Pooh or something like that. Just make sure that your address looks professional. You want to have a phone number, and you want to look at including your URL to your professional profile if you've got one on your LinkedIn. So this is looking, when it comes to your private sector resume. On your federal resume, you're not going to look at putting your LinkedIn profile there. They're not going to be too concerned about your LinkedIn profile. You also want to look at, when doing your federal resume, you want to look at putting some of if you've got any clearance on there, if you've got any specific clearance on there, if you've got any non-competitive eligibility, to put that on your resume as well. And if you are a veteran, if you can stipulate that as well. Also, just at the top there, just underneath your name there, you can just put there, you've got a top secret clearance and you've got non-competitive eligibility, or you are a veteran. So that's tip number 1. Number 2, you want to look at your headlines, your objective statements, your summaries, or your core skills, whatever you want to, call it, to put in after your main heading with your name there. We usually call it a professional summary, just of what is it that you do. We call it your elevator pitch, and is it what value are you going to bring to the organization, or what value can you bring for the position that you're applying for. So you want to use the keywords from the job description in this. So we're giving you some tips here. Just give your elevator pitch in about 3 to 5 sentences. Explain what you do best, what are your key skills you've acquired. Even though you've had some job or industry, You focus on your interests, and again, what value would you be adding to the prospective employer? Okay, that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is you want to look at powerful action words. And this is really important going forward in how you strategically customize your resume. All right, so we call it, you look at the keywords, you reuse the words from the job description and whatever's in the job application. But also, you want to do this because there's an applicant tracking system and there's a search engine optimization, which will just highlight what you have done. So you want to use these powerful action words instead of saying I was responsible for something. You want to just liven it up a bit and say you designed, you managed, you planned, you delivered, you co-created, you co-developed, you developed. Just get really more creative instead of using I was responsible for. That's tip number 3. If we move along, just again, when using the keywords there, and this is just some tips that we also give, while doing your resume, is you want to cut out from the job application. If you see that it says there wide range of administrative support, office staff that workload controller staff, and then you paste that into your resume section where you've got administrative support. You had diverse functional responsibilities involving complex issues, and then you monitor and control. So can you see how you've highlighted your keywords there and resume action? I'm talking about these sections as you develop your resume, and you can quantify and elaborate on what you did with your administrative support. Right, you've also got to look at the type of language you use. All right, and we've given you 2 examples here. We've got a before and after statement. So let's look at the before statement. So the before says, I was responsible for planning, executing, and coordinating specialized vocational training and served as a primary instructor for all new employees. Really standard run-of-the-mill type of stuff. But if you look at the after and look at the language, what we've done here, we've developed and executed numerous time-sensitive and relevant training courses for nearly 1,500 personnel annually. And what was the result of that? I was rated as the #1 instructor over 20 peers on the last 3 annual performance reports. So important, your keywords, and also how you've quantified your accomplishments for what you've done. And that's something that, in 2020 going forward, when developing your resume, is see how you can quantify. And I'm going to just talk about that as we progress further. Right. And here it is. That's tip number 4. So you want to quantify, you want to quantify your established accomplishments. Just show your magnitude, whether it was numbers, dollars, percentages, whatever you can. And you want to edit out your job duties, those responsible for, and you want to use those nice ones that we put forward in the previous slide, where you designed, you developed, you created, you collaborated, and come up with those keywords when coming to your results and what you can quantify for those results that you have achieved and your accomplishments. Right. So duties tell and accomplishments sell. So if you look at, we've got an example of a duty, and then we've got an example of an accomplishment. So the duty says respond to customer service inquiries via email and the live chat platform. But if you had to turn that into accomplishment, where it says you respond to an average of 175 customer service live chats and 2,013 emails per week, improving the response time by 74% and customer satisfaction by 31% between 2016 and 2017. I'm sure you can all relate and see what is the difference between a duty and an accomplishment. And really that accomplishment accomplishment is really going to make you stand out because you've quantified them, and whatever you can cut from the job offer application and put that in there, it's really going to make your resume stand or come to the top of the pile when you start applying. All right. So tip number 5 is you want to look at your formatting, and that's really important when coming to your resume, is your format. You also want to make it skimmable. You want to use bullet points and simple formatting for the application tracking system or your search engine optimization. You want to look at your keywords. You want to look at tabs. You want to look at the control before and after spacing, and you want to use bold strategically. And if possible, you want to have 2 types of fonts. So what it does, it just breaks that monotony, and it just makes it a lot more lively to read. Because it's nothing worse than just reading something that just looks like it was just cut out of a newspaper article. So you want to make it enticing. You want to make it look appealing when people are reading. So use your bold strategically in 2 fonts. Have your heading in one type of font, and then have your descriptions after that with another type of font. Right. We've got on your federal resume. On a federal resume is totally different. So on a private sector resume, they ask you just to be succinct. On a federal resume, they want all the details. So you need to give all the details and quantify as much as you can. So a private sector resume is a lot more challenging, than your federal resume in terms of what you need to put on there in terms of quantity to keep it succinct, right? But this is what we can assist you with, with the expertise that we've got within our arena of assisting EFMs with what they're looking for. Right, so let's go further. So tip number 6, you want to have the relevant work experience, and if possible, you want to link your values to the company values. So you want to edit out work experience, or edit the work experience for the job that you want. You want to use the words and phrases from the job advertisement or the job description. And you want to review the job description for the different hats or roles you'll have to perform. And if possible, you want to provide the proof and just showcase that relevant experience. So just be mindful, look at the relevant experience for what they're asking for, and will that tie into what is being advertised, just to make you a stronger candidate. All right. References, let's just look at how you're going to double check those small details. You want to look at your references on a professional or a private sector resume. You want to remove the text is available on request. Take that out. It's no longer applicable when it comes to private sector resume. If they do require it, they'll put that in as a requirement when they post in the job offer or the job description. When it comes to a federal resume, you want to include all your references for every specific role that you can include on your resume, and you want to include them in the detail. Just a point to remember there, if you're going to include a reference there, please make sure you contact them in advance so that they are able to put, or they're aware that somebody will contact them. So if you can just make contact with them prior you sending in your resume, just to ensure that you are able to get the relevant number or contact details for them, and it's up to date. If you want, you want to include your hobbies. We say generally not, but if it can make you a stronger candidate for the position, then give it a chance. But also just look at how you position it and what value that's going to bring to what you're applying for. And most importantly, you want to be truthful, you want to be relevant, and you want to have your recent content. It says you don't include experience that's older than 10 or 15 years. I say just be mindful of that. You also don't want to exclude your experience if it can contribute to something currently, and you've got the experience from 10, 15 years ago, then I will include that within the resume application. Okay. So also, you just be mindful of your submission. You want to make it professional, save and test the doc and test your electronic feedback, whether it's going to be on your PC, whether you're using Windows or you're on Apple or the Mac, and just see, have you got the relevant compatibility for the type of format they're looking for. And they usually will request to say, please send your resume in a Word format, or they'll say, please send your resume in a PDF format. Okay, but just be mindful what they're asking for. Or when it comes to your federal resumes, everything's going to be done online. There's what they call the ERA, which is the Employment Recruitment Application, which is also online. And then you're also going to be using your USA jobs. And a lot of your jobs are going to be, or a lot of your applications are going to be done through the USA jobs. So always online, and just be mindful of that. And if you can, just have a Word document or a copy of your original resume when doing an online application. It's easy just to copy and paste over. All right, so just a summary of some of the resume tips that we've spoken about thus far. You want to include your address if possible. Just be mindful for security purposes. It's really entirely up to you. You want to include the headline and objective statement or the professional summary. You want to use your powerful action words. You want to quantify your accomplishments. You want to make it scannable. And you want to make your work experience relevant. You want to look at managing your references. You want to add your hobbies if they're going to add value. You want to be truthful and recent. And just to be sure to submit it correctly. Okay. So just look at some special content features. When you were reading the workforce, you got any military background, if you did mostly volunteering, and what were some of your gaps. And you want to target your resume and review the job description, what they are looking for in the ideal candidate, and do you have all the relevant experience? And if yes, you want to include all the factual evidence. You want to showcase your relevant experience and skills, with numbers, dollars, percentages, and you want to look at, using their terminology. Whether it was a job description that they were talking about, the vacancy announcement, information interviews, or other industry research. Just be very strategic on using their terminology, because that's also going to make your resume come to the top of the pile. All right, let's just give you some facts about the federal resume process. We've also we emphasize do not just use one resume. EPAP is the only exception that allows one application to be submitted. So make sure to address all specialized experience for your EPAP position you're applying for. And EPAP is your Extended Professional Associate Program, which will be launching usually the end of March, beginning of April. And usually there's one or two positions that will become available at your relevant post. So just be mindful of that. And your CLO will be sending out communication regarding that. So your federal resume starts with reading the vacancy announcement. All right, and on the USA, a lot of your EPAP positions are done through the USA jobs. We'll be applying through that. And on the USA jobs, there is a resume builder, which will assist you to build your resume. So that's another nice tool you've got there. So you show why you should be hired over other candidates. You've got to find the keywords again when it comes to your federal resume to determine whether you qualify for the position. And here we've just given a bit of an example of a vacancy announcement for an office management superstar wanted. There's a superstar needed to answer phones, help with office paperwork, and maintain principal officer's hectic schedule. The other bullet point, they must work in a large office and be good at interacting with high-ranking local government officials as well as senior US federal government agency heads. So what does this position do? And that's the question you've got to ask. So if you look at bullet point 1, it's customer service, there's office administration, there's organization, there's teamwork, and there's cross-cultural communication and executive level liaison. So this is what we've now determined from those two bullet points there. We've come up with 5 bullet points, and we will talk to each one of those now in their respective formats. So if we talk about customer service, again, you can talk about what you did for customer service. If you can quantify it, if you can give an accomplishment and quantify that accomplishment and what was the result you've got there. So that's ultimately what you're going to be doing in a federal resume. You're going to be talking to these respective headings here. Okay, so here's another position description. And now what we've done here, we've just highlighted some of the keywords that are standing out over there. Right, and this is for administrative support assistant. And we've highlighted a wide range of administrative support, office staff that encompasses separate and diverse functional responsibilities involving complex issues. There's workload control, and there is staff assignments. Right, so you want to showcase your key duties that must stand out, easiest to read, your keyword headers, eyes jump to the keywords, all caps, don't have the option to use the underline or bold. And if you can see, let me just show you what we've done here with this one over here. We've put it all in caps letters so it stands out, but we didn't use the bold there or underline. It just makes it relevant to what is being requested in the vacancy announcement. Okay, you want to have plenty of details. Don't just list boarding duties and your accomplishments, 1 or 2 significant accomplishments. All right, and qualifying you on paper will get you to the interview. And speaking to me will also assist in building and getting that resume a lot different to what it was before you saw us. And that is what we offer to the community out there. Is you've got this wonderful resource. We're here to support you, we're here to build you up, we're here to encourage you, and just get you for what you're looking for. So I'd like to thank you for your time this today in joining me for this resume little discussion that we had here. Short and to the point. And if you need to contact me, please contact your CLO and they'll forward the relevant contact information to you. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's you and I jump back up here. Thank you so much, Chester. And let me see if I can do this. Hold on, ready? I hope you were able to hear the applause. So that's from the CLO office and the community to you. I have put your email address up on here for folks if they need to contact you. It's ferriscb@state.gov, ferriscb@state.gov. And hopefully by now you guys all know how to get a hold of me. However you are receiving this recording, you can just respond to that. And then if anybody has questions, they can just send you an email. Is that the quickest way to coordinate?
That's correct.
Perfect.
Yes,
and then we'll be doing another a follow-up to this soon.
Correct. That's correct.
Perfect. Okay, well, thank you so much, Chester. We really appreciated having you here today. And I'm going to stop the recording so you and I can coordinate. All right. Happy employment seeking, Lilongwe. Thank you, Chester.
Cool. All right.